Jurors in the trial of the woman accused in a deadly crash 2 years ago got a detailed look today at the hours leading up to the collision. Prosecutors presented toxicology results, social media posts, and bar receipts as they work to retrace Ashner Nelson's movements before the crash that killed two teenagers. Live 5's Elijah Brown was inside of that courtroom.
Yeah, today prosecutors essentially walked jurors through Ashner Nelson's night stop by stop, from Snapchat images and text messages to bar receipts and toxicology results. Jurors were shown a detailed timeline of what prosecutors say led up to the deadly crash. This image pulled from Nelson's Snapchat, including photos appearing to show her with margaritas just hours before the crash. Investigators also displayed text messages and a timeline of Nelson's movements, tracing the bar she visited that evening before the collision. That evidence came after a forensic toxicologist testified Nelson's blood alcohol concentration measured 0.247, telling jurors that level indicated significant alcoholic impairment. The owners of the two bars Nelson visited also took the stand, reading receipts tied to her credit card that listed multiple alcoholic drinks purchased throughout the night.
2 Don Julio, 2 Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
What is cinnamon
That's
toast?
the shot.
1 Bay Breeze, 2 orders of fried okra, 1 martini, 1 margarita, a grandma floater. It's an addition to that drink.
Okay, what does that mean?
That would be a half an ounce of an additional alcohol. 1 Corona Extra, 1 margarita.
Now, by the end of the day, jurors were shown a detailed timeline of where prosecutors say Nelson was that day and also what she consumed that killed Joseph De Silva and Samuel Oliveira. Reporting right here in Dorchester County, Elijah Brown, Live 5 News.